Thing is working. It's starting now. Okay, so hello world out there. So I am Eli, the computer guy with Geek Sexy News, and this is our first Coffee with Geeks. So the idea here is to bring in real technology professionals, bring in real CEOs and founders and all those kind of folks, and just basically have somewhere around an hour-long chat talking about what they're doing with their businesses, what they see, the future of the technology world being, all of those kind of things. So this is the first one. I will warn everybody out there. This is the first one. So cross your fingers. I hope this does not blow up. I hope nobody dies in this experiment. So we have Oleksandr. He is the CEO and founder of MacPaw. So MacPaw creates apps for the Mac operating system. And they've come out with this new Setapp, which is, I would explain it as the Netflix for apps. So essentially you purchase one subscription to Setapp, and then that gives you a whole bunch of other apps that you get to use while you pay for the service. So we have him on here so we can learn about developing for the Mac. We can learn about the Setapp specifically. We can also learn about doing application development in Ukraine. So we hear about in the rest of the world a lot of people. There's a lot of technology going on in the rest of the world. It's not just here in the United States. So we're going to be discussing all of that kind of stuff today. So thank you for being here, Oleksandr.
Hello, everyone. It's really nice to be here today. I'm really pleased that you invited us to go live today.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, like I say, when Beth, your PR person, contacted me about Setapp, it seems like a really good idea that I'm surprised nobody else has done. Like when I think about it, I could probably do some research, but I don't know of anybody else doing something like Setapp.
Well, there are similar competitors on the market, but not on the Mac market.
Okay.
There are similar approaches on the Android market, and even right now, probably you heard Microsoft just launched a subscription service for games for their Xbox platform. So it's not actually a very new idea, and we think the subscription services are getting more and more popular nowadays. So this is a good trend, and we are trying to jump in on this train with Setapp.
That makes sense. So whenever we deal with tech companies, there's all these names and stuff. So you are the CEO of MacPaw. So how long has MacPaw been around for?
I started the company like 8 years ago. So it was a bootstrapped company. We didn't bring any investors on board.
Wow.
We started to grow naturally from a very small company to 120 employees right now today. And this is all without any external investment, all naturally grow.
Impressive. So then I had a question. I mean, like right now, like whenever you hear about the tech news, everybody talks about how to get investment. It seems like everybody is focused on investment and not so much on the actual product. Like, I mean, if you have a successful product and can grow to 120 people, why haven't you taken on investment and tried to turn into the next Microsoft or whatever?
Well, we actually do, but from the opposite way. We invest into companies in Ukraine on the local market. So we also have a small investment fund called SMRK, and we invested in 8 companies already.
Oh, really? Wow, that's cool. That's cool. So then you're in Ukraine. So was that a business decision, or is that just where you're from? Therefore, that's where you created it?
It was like historically. I was born in Ukraine. I studied computer science in Kiev. And I had a lot of friends that were big fans of Apple and technology. So we started the company and started to build great products. And actually, there are a lot of great products from Ukraine. Probably you don't know a lot about all of them, but there are great companies here as well.
Really? I mean, because I guess like in the U.S., when I hear of Ukraine, I always hear about it for like outsourcing coding work. I don't really think of actual products. Like what products would we know about that come from the Ukraine?
We probably all heard about Riddle. They do PDF expert and a lot of different iOS applications for mobile platform. Also like Daisy Disk, studies, and a lot more.
Right. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So then with Setapp then. So this is it fair to call it like the Netflix for Mac apps, or how would you explain? How would you talk about it?
It's probably the easiest explanation for people. So yeah, it is a Netflix for apps. So it does what it says. So we have great applications on board, and you can access any of them anytime without any additional charges. So as a customer, you pay $9.99 per month and get access to all of them.
Interesting. So is this like a cloud-based service? Is this something like all of the apps are in the cloud and then you access them, or is it something that's local and there's some kind of DRM connected to it?
Well, it is downloaded from the cloud, so you
Okay.
can, when the Setapp is installed on your machine, everything is not there yet. But when you first start an application, it gets downloaded, it acquires the license from the cloud, and then you can use it offline wherever you go. So it just have to check and update the license from time to time, like once per 2 weeks.
Okay. Oh, so you can even so it's not connected like you have to be online all the time to use it. If you're on
Yeah.
an airplane, you can still use it.
And this is a great benefit for people who travel because they can use their laptop with all the applications or wherever they are without an internet connection. So
Yeah.
just they have to download the app previously.
Okay. So then with this, is the data stored in a proprietary format? Like I saw a few of the apps that I actually use. And so what happens, let's say I'm using an app, I set up all the configurations and everything, then I decide, I just want to buy the app outright. Do those configurations transfer over, or is all the data stored within your little bubble?
Well, it very much depends on the app itself and how the developer of this app decides to migrate the data. But we do encourage the developers to make as seamless process as possible.
Okay. But that's all on the developer side. That's what they do. They do.
Well, yeah, we cannot like guarantee that every developer will do this because probably it's not even required for their app. But if there are some important data stored in this app, they probably would like to do it not to confuse customers.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then since it is the Netflix for apps, I guess one of my big concerns, one of the questions would be like, what happens? Like Netflix, they have a huge churn of the what offerings they have. So what happens like if I sign up because you have three apps that I really want? Is it possible those three apps will disappear in the next month? Like what's your contract for actually having those apps for the subscription service?
Oh, this is a very good question, especially for customers.
Yeah.
And we do have an agreement with developers. So when they do decide to leave Setapp for any reasons, we still ask developers a permission to provide this app to the end customers. So if people already downloaded some app and rely on it, it won't disappear from their accounts.
Oh, okay. So that's a good thing then. And then, so are there any issues with the Apple Store? So we've heard this a lot with the whole App Store with iOS devices, where Apple can be like one of the places they can be really horrible to deal with is they want their 30%. So how does this deal with like the Mac, like terms of service? Do you have any issues there?
Well, iOS platform is very closed, so it's very closed ecosystem. You can have any external app stores or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But unlike mobile platform, Mac is very open, and there are no restrictions from Apple to do stuff like we do. And like actually, if we take previous WWDC, Apple opened a lot of stuff that were previously closed for apps outside of the Mac App Store. So probably they are opening stuff and they're allowing things like Setapp to be present on Mac desktop.
Right.
And also, probably you're all aware about the problems users and developers are experiencing with Mac App Store. Well, there are a lot of limitations that makes the user experience a bit difficult, and so this is where we came in and want to be a bit better and try to fix all of these problems for the customers. Like, for example, you cannot try applications before you buy on the Mac App Store. So like developers sometimes have to provide free versions or trials or stuff like that. And not all of the apps do that. So customers sometimes have to buy a wrong application just to discover afterwards that it is not what he was looking for. And so this is not good. And also, well, in the Mac App Store, you have no opportunity to upgrade your customers to a major new version, because either you provide it for free, and well, it's not best business model for most of the developers, or you have to provide some additional app submitted to the App Store and try to migrate all the customers from one version to another. And this is really a big headache for both users and developers.
So when somebody's then developing, like, how hard is it to develop for Setapp then? So they go through the time and energy to make the Mac app. Is it an extra hour to get it working on Setapp, or is this something that's another month of coding?
Well, we did everything possible to make it a very easy process. So we do have a special library that developers have to integrate into their app. But usually, if you already have an App Store version of the app, it takes about 2 or 3 hours to fully integrate it with Setapp. But sometimes there are stuff like in-app purchases or advertisements that we ask to remove from the application, and in these cases it usually takes longer. So one of the great benefits of Setapp is that we do not allow in-app purchases. We ask developers to include all this stuff into the versions they provide for Setapp, so users get fully functional versions.
That seems pretty good. So then how are you finding developers at this point? Like, so how many apps do you have on Setapp right now?
Right now it's 65.
65, really? Okay. So how have you found those 65? Do you go handing out business cards like, hey, do you have an app to sell, or how do you do that?
Well, probably it's one of the toughest stuff to do, because we have to bring together all these great developers, and sometimes it's really not easy task to even get in touch with them. But as you probably know, we also have a development platform called DevMate, where we help app developers to distribute their apps outside of the Mac App Store, sell them, track different statistics and stuff like that. So we also provide the services for Mac developers. And we had a lot of contacts and great relationships with developers, and it was much easier for us to get them on board. But yeah, it's a really difficult task to do.
Yeah. So has there been any sticking point with selling this with developers? Like when you go to a developer and say, hey, you should be on Setapp, like where's the sticking point? Where's the thing that they're like, I don't know if I like that?
Well, first of all, the problem that we would like to solve is a recurring revenue. So when you develop an app, you sell it to the customers, and so you sell one license. And then if you would like to upgrade, to sell upgrades, you develop a different version, and you have to delay a lot of functionality into this version in order to make the upgrade feasible for the customers. And also, like, not all of the customers will upgrade, and it takes a lot of other problems to do that. So the subscription model is really interesting for all the app developers, but at the same time it is extremely difficult to deploy it, because for majority of the applications it's almost impossible to explain the customers why do I have to pay subscription price for each application separately. So this is where we come in, and we try to to fix this problem once and for everybody. So probably instead of paying a dozen different subscriptions for each app, it would be much better to pay one subscription to the access to the whole app store. And so this is the major benefit of Setapp for both users and developers.
Yeah. Well, that's the obvious benefit, but I'm just wondering, like, when you go to developers, if there's any pushback, if there's anything where, oh, they say, no, I want to sell it for $30 a widget. Like, is there, are there any sticking points where developers don't like the idea?
Well, the biggest issue is the timing. So all the developers have their own timelines, and they say, "Oh, I have this version in development, and I will be able to return to you in two months. I have these plans and stuff like that." So, and yeah, we do have to spend a significant time to make new relationships with developers and to bring them on board. So.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then so you're up to 65 apps. So one of your big sales pitches here on your site is where we handpick them so you don't have to. But one of the issues that I've found with Netflix is you get to the point where you have so many apps, like so many videos on Netflix, you have no idea what app to use anymore. So if you're trying to get more apps, what system do you have so I know what the hell to use?
That's a very good question. So, we definitely do not want to have tons of applications like the Mac App Store does, because this is one of the problems that currently affects all of the users. There are thousands of apps. They do the same stuff, and users have to waste too much time and energy finding the right one. Right. So this is where we can help users. We pick the best applications for the job. We have a certain list of the jobs that customers does on their machines, and our goal is to find one or two apps for each job. So anyway, we want to have a competition inside the platform, so the customers will have the choice if they like one app or another. But our goal is to have all the needed apps to cover all the majority of the jobs they have.
Okay. So how many apps do you figure you'll max out at the end of the day? Let's say 5 years from now, will you still only have 100 apps, or do you think you might have 1,000 apps? Like how big would you grow?
Well, we analyzed the market. Actually, among the thousands of apps, there are not that many great ones. So it will be around 300 applications, and that will cover all the major jobs on the platform.
Okay. And then what do you do for the product testing to make sure, oh, the developers don't do something asinine or stupid? Basically put some malware into the system. How do you deal with that kind of thing?
Well, first of all, we invite only the developers with great reputation and apps. So this is one of the key reasons they won't do that. And also, we have a special app review process in place where we review all the applications and check if there is some stuff that is not allowed there, like advertisement, malware, and stuff like that.
Okay. So I guess is there a set of rules? So if I'm going to buy the service, is there a set of rules that I can see to know that the developers have followed, not selling my information or that kind of stuff? Do you have anything like that that's public that people can see?
Yeah, we have a special developer documentation, and we have review guidelines where all of these topics are covered.
Okay. That's cool. And then so how much money are these developers making? So if you say, so it's $10 a month, but then you get 300 apps to choose from, does that mean 10 divided by 300 minus whatever your cut is? Like, are you getting like half a cent a month if you put an app on your store?
Well, it's not that simple. So this is probably one of the most important questions that we had from our developers. So how I will make money? And prior to answering that, we analyzed a lot of data from the market on how customers use applications, what applications do they use, what customers are there. So there definitely will be like certain customers for each group, like designers, developers, etc. And all of the customers will, on general, they use not more than 10 applications per month. Based on this, we will make the payout. We did a payout model that will work for majority of the developers. So not all of the apps will be launched. So definitely the user fee will not be split among 300 apps. And this way, like the more popular apps will make more money. The less popular will make less money. And probably if the app is not popular enough for the majority of the users, we will probably even drop it from the Setapp.
Okay. So then is that going to be based off of like installs or actual usage? So in this modern world, you know, because of my country, everybody's worried about privacy. And so I think people would be pretty comfortable. It's like, okay, if I download and install it, you know that. Is that being tracked, or is it every time I use the app is being tracked?
So we have a special libraries that we integrate into each application, and we track the actual app launch. So every time the app launches, we know that, and we provide license for this app. And this way we know what apps were used. But we don't track time that is spent in certain applications, so we know only about the fact of usage. And this way we are able to divide the user payment between the apps they actively use.
Okay, that's nice. So basically when I double click, that sends something to your servers just to say it's been launched.
Yeah, correctly.
Okay. Is there any issue, because I just think about like the whole European privacy laws and all of that stuff that's being pushed right now. Are there any privacy issues you have to worry about with that?
Well, so it definitely depends on the users. So they have to agree on the privacy policy that we have when they sign up for Setapp. And so if they are okay with this model, because definitely Netflix do the same. So when you look through some movies, it pays for these movies from these customers. Yeah. So we have pretty similar model.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of wonder about that because I would think because if I'm launching things cloud, I understand you're tracking me, but I do wonder, like with users, if I think it's installed local, I might be surprised. I might be surprised if I find out that it's tracking every time I start the program.
Well, we do not send any personal data. What is most important for us is the fact that some app was used, and this way we will be able to pay to this developer. Yeah. So if you want to support some app, you can get their apps.
That's cool. And then so if somebody, let's say I have an app developer who's watching this and he wants to get his app onto Setapp. So what would he do to try to get that to happen?
Well, we have a special section on our website where developers can apply, but certainly we won't accept all of the developers that applies. So we have a special app discovery process inside our company where we try to understand which app will fit Setapp users better, and then we initiate the communication with this vendor.
Okay.
So, well, when developers comes to us, it's certainly much more faster because they are engaged. But the opposite way, we have to contact the vendor. We have to find the right motivation for them in order to bring them on board.
That's cool. Do you ever pay bonuses or something to get them on board? Like if somebody becomes on board, do they just get the trickle of revenue as it comes in, or is there any kind of like fronted loan or fronted bonus that you give for that?
Well, we definitely want to exclude the human factor from the negotiation process, and that's why we want to be the rules as equal as possible for all developers. So that's why we created like certain app price table where we assign special coefficient for each app, and so if the app costs more on the market, they will earn more. If it is a cheaper app, it will earn less. So this is like the rules that are public and the same for all the developers. And like we want to keep to be open with the developers and do not create any stuff that will make unequal rules.
Interesting. And then if an app is accepted for your store, do you put out an advertisement about that, or do people just kind of have to learn about it on their own?
Yeah, so when the new app arrives, all the customers they receive a special notification and email. And also we are planning to make like a special dedicated discovery app, because right now there are not that many apps. 65 apps is not that many. But anyway, we have to help customers to learn more about the applications and probably suggest the apps they may need in a certain moment. So we will work more on creating this experience.
But that's something that you're working on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our initial concept was pretty similar to a Dropbox. So we wanted to create a feeling when customers created an account and signed into the Setapp, he gets access to all of the applications at once. So you can choose any of them and you can just click open and run it. That's it. And so like, this is the experience we have right now, and customers love it. But we definitely want to make this experience more personalized, and we will be working on better recommendation system to provide apps that are relevant to you.
Okay. So how long has Setapp been around for then?
Well, actually, it's not that long. Like we launched a month ago. It was public release, and we just started to receive first payments from the customers, which is great.
So can you say about how many users you have at this point?
Well, we have more than 80,000 trial customers right now, and we had 30,000 for beta users. Like we have a beta period 2 months ago, and like we hope to grow dynamically.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, I guess that's one thing like with growth is how do you advertise something like this? Because I think like with MacPaw did clean my Mac before, and I think I remember seeing that like on Staples. Like I used to go into Office Depot or Staples, and I think I used to see a box on the shelf.
Yeah, we had that.
So then how do you sell? Like the retail sales seems pretty simple, but like how do you try to get in front of people in the web world? Like what do you do for your marketing campaign?
Well, actually, so from our departments, our most like powerful department is definitely marketing. So we have more than 30 people working in marketing department,
Wow.
and we do a lot of performance-based advertisements. So we buy a lot of ads from AdWords, Facebook, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so we have been able to build a lot of internal tools and experience to make the advertisement effective. And so, like, we want to apply this experience to Setapp as well. And also during this 8 years of our company, we have we have a huge base of loyal customers that really love our products, and we are happy to provide Setapp for them as well.
Oh, interesting. I guess, I mean, can you say, since you've been doing this for a while, if somebody was out there trying to sell an application, like what digital marketing works best for you? Does Facebook actually work? Like what do you find that
Well,
has a good ROI?
it very much depends on the product. Like for CleanMyMac, Facebook is not the best channel, but AdWords definitely works the best. So we have a lot of paid search advertisements and display ads running across the internet, and they're working really effectively for us. Well, also lately we started to work with a lot of partners, like affiliates. So there are a lot of resources that publish some information about our products, and we provide some commission for selling our products to them.
Okay, that seems to work well. That's interesting. Because yeah, I wonder, like, again, talking about like Silicon Valley versus Ukraine. I mean, like in Silicon Valley, when you create something, I mean, it just seems so easy for a lot of tech people to learn about it very quickly. So I wonder, like being in Kiev, I mean, I just wonder how hard it is to market products from there.
Well, it's definitely harder, but the good thing is that we have a lot of great developers and engineers in Ukraine. So we are able to build products like Setapp really quickly, and it helps us to go to the market more easily. And regarding the marketing, we do work with a lot of international companies to help us with international marketing. Like right now, we work with superheroes, like the video production company, and they did this great videos and video advertisement for us.
Wow, that's cool. And then, so I mean, if you're going after this whole Netflix for apps, like why Mac? Why not Windows? Like I would think Windows would be the market to go after for something like this.
Well, probably my personal preference always has been an evangelist of Mac computers. Well, from the very early age, like when I was a student, I was in love with Apple, and I switched all my environment around me to Mac. And I started a company that was developing software for Mac. And like during this 8 years, we have a lot of experience developing great products for Mac, developing great user interfaces, and a great audience. And for us, it was much easier to enter the Mac market with Setapp than any other platform.
Oh, that's interesting. So how much do Macs cost over there? Because I've heard that's one of the issues. Like in some, like, because in the US, Macs are stupidly expensive. But then I've heard with like tariffs and taxes, like Macs, I mean, like we think they're horribly expensive here, and in other places they're 50% more expensive. Like how expensive are Macs there? They're that much more expensive?
Well, it depends how you buy them. Well, like a lot of Macs we export ourselves from the United States. Also, there are a lot of like small shops in Ukraine that sells Macs for pretty reasonable price. And there is no app store in Ukraine for now, unfortunately. So we have to buy them anywhere we can.
Makes sense. And then when you're thinking about targeting your marketing, like so since you're in the Ukraine, like people in the United States, obviously if you're set up in the United States, you target the US and maybe Europe. But like if you're in the Ukraine, like where you are in the world, where do you see your growth market? Because you hear a lot of stuff where a lot of people are targeting China now. But it's like, do you target Asia? Do you target Europe? Do you target the United States? Where do you look at for your growth?
Well, if we would take our existing customers, so like for us, United States is around 40% of our revenue. Another 40 is Europe, the whole Europe, and all the other is Asia. So like we haven't been very successful on Asia because when you enter in the Asian market, like let's say China, for example, you have to have a local company to fight with all this piracy and stuff like that. And like we have been trying to find some partner to work on this market, and probably we will be more effective next year on the China. But like regarding the United States, it has been very easy because a lot of brands, big brands like Google, Facebook, are providing a lot of great instruments to sell your software on the United States and Europe. Europe a bit more difficult because you have to do a localization of your software and prices to be able to sell more effectively on Europe. And we have done this for majority of our products, but Setapp we didn't do that yet. So we just launched, and we are planning to do that in the future.
I guess that's one of the questions for developers out there. like with Setapp or any of your apps, let's say clean my Mac. Like how many hours does it take to localize? Like what kind of resource expense is that?
It very much depends on the streams, on the amount of text you have in the product. Like, for example, for Clean My Mac, it takes about 1 month for each localization. We do it in parallels, but usually it takes about 1 month to localize Clean My Mac to any new language. But for other products, it very much depends on the complexity and the number of strings in it.
Okay. So is that 1 month? Like how many developers are working on that for 1 month?
Well, it's not the developers, it's actually the localizers. There are a lot of great tools on the macOS to localize your application easily. You have to do some tuning with the interface because sometimes in different languages the strings are much wider, so you have to adapt the interface for different languages. So this takes time, but usually most of the work is done by the localizers. But
Oh, I see. Localized. That's interesting. So then how many, like when you're talking about Europe then, like I didn't really think about that because like I'm in the US and we're all just English. So like how many, like when you say Europe, how many localizations is Europe?
so we have, in general, I think 12 localizations and like 7 of them for Europe.
Okay. Okay. So only seven. So like what are your big countries there that buy the products?
Well, definitely it's France because in France people prefer to have French language in their interfaces. And German, Spanish, Russian, and some Brazilian or Portuguese.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And the ones.
Yeah. Huh. Then that's cool. So you say Russian. So is there a decent market in Russia for Macs and all that kind of stuff?
Well, actually, Russia is pretty big market for us. Well, in the Europe, it is probably on the 6 or 7 place in volumes. In terms of volume, so yeah, we definitely do Russian, and there are a lot of customers of our products as well.
Oh, that's cool. Have there been any issues with all the politics going on between the West and Ukraine and Russia? Has that affected your business at all?
Well, it didn't affect our business directly, but it definitely affected our minds, right? Because we do live in Ukraine, and we want to have a peaceful life, and sometimes it distracts you so much that it takes a lot of time.
So, I mean, is everything going on? Because all we hear about is the news, and so we hear about the whatever's going on at the periphery. Does what's going on affect you folks in like day-to-day life?
Well, when the revolution was in Kiev in 2014, we definitely were involved. We went there, we fought the riot police, stuff like that. So we did support the revolution very actively. But right now, when the war is happening in the eastern Ukraine, and it is pretty far from Kiev. So we still support a lot of our guys there because a lot of volunteers actually made a lot of stuff for Ukrainian protection because previously our army were really weak. Well, whatever is not killing us is making us stronger, definitely.
Does that affect travel? Like here, since you deal with work in the U.S., like we have Trump and all the issues with immigration. Have your folks run into any issues like when they try to do business in the U.S. now, or has that stayed about the same?
Well, it haven't happened yet, so probably it's too early to tell.
So are there any of these politics? Because just curious, like I say, when I talk with people in the U.S. or most of Europe, politics is just politics. But I think with Ukraine, like things matter. Like, is there anything on the horizon that you're concerned about? Like anything good or bad that for your business?
Well, for our business, probably not, because like we are a software development company and we can do business in any place in the world and doesn't affect us at all.
Yeah.
But definitely want to keep the team together, and sometimes people decide they want to change the country and they leave to another company in abroad, and well, this definitely affects us a lot because like mm, all the products are built by people, and like having great people is a huge part of the success of each product. So we definitely have to win this war here at least.
Okay. So do you relocate people into Ukraine? Like, are you, since you got 120 people, are you actually bringing people to Ukraine to work for MacPaw? Or
Yeah, so we have people from all over of the Ukraine. So I was originally born not in not in Kiev. I was from Western Ukraine. Then I came to Kiev, and well, Kiev in Ukraine is pretty active hub of software development. We have a lot of international outsourcing companies here, so which are huge. They have up to 5,000 employees. So there are a lot of brains concentrated in Kiev.
but are you able to bring in, like, if somebody's like, I don't know, should I go to Silicon Valley or Kiev? Like, are you actually able to compete? Because that's a big thing here in the U.S. is they try to compete and bring people in from all over the country and the world. Are you able to bring in people from Britain or the United States? Or
Well, we have several people working at Kiev from the United States, for example, and from Russia and some other places. But well, if comparing to the Silicon Valley, it's very expensive. So if you will have the same salary, even though it is very high in Silicon Valley, you won't be able to afford that much. But in Ukraine, it's much better because the way of life is much cheaper here.
okay, what does a developer make in approximately in U.S. dollars over there?
Well, it's probably starting from $3,000 per month up to six
To 60,000 or how much?
six per month.
Oh,
6,000.
6,000. Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. That's we need to go hire some more Ukrainian developers. Holy crap. Okay. That's affordable. Cool, cool. So then I guess, a couple of final just wrap up questions. Are you folks hiring then? If somebody was like interested in working with your team, are you hiring now, or like what are you looking for?
Yeah, definitely. We are continuously growing, and like the biggest problem for us is to find the right people. Sometimes it takes up to 6 months to find the right person for the job.
Hmm.
So we definitely hire continuously, and like the previous year, we grew up to 40 employees, I think.
Really? Wow. And that's all based off of profit revenue.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. But are there any specific skills you're looking for, like right now, especially as you start developing some of these things, like big data or Swift, or like any specific technologies that you're looking for?
Well, we currently have open positions in like business developers, sales, and some of the engineering, like cocoa development, like for developing products for our desktop operating system.
All right, cool. And then, okay, I guess just kind of wrap up. So you're an old timer now. You've got this business, but if you were like 18 years old again, and you're in the Ukraine, and you're thinking about like what technology to learn for, what business to go after, where in technology would you focus on now if you were 18 again?
Well, you mean right now in the current moment?
Yeah, it's like, is it IoT? Is it big data? Is it Mac? I don't know. Like what? Like if you had a niche to go after, and you'd say this is the future for 18-year-olds.
Well, I would definitely consider probably something even from bio engineering or medicine, because
Okay.
I definitely believe that the future is in there are a great revolution coming in the medicine, because we have all this technology. It has been around for years, and it pretty much do all of the stuff that was already needed. But anyway, people do want to have a better quality of life, to have a better feeling and health, and I think that there is a great potential there.
All right. So you'd say meta. You wouldn't say the IT world. You're not saying go learn Java or something.
Well, the medicine could be improved with the current languages. Like, you can do a lot of stuff in Swift for medicine.
Cool. Okay. Well, it was a good, nice little conversation here. Is there anything that you want to tell the folks at home? Is there anything they should know about Setapp or MacPaw or anything else?
So we just started with Setapp, and we definitely want to change the user experience for years ahead. Like, we want to be de facto app store that people will use when they buy a new Mac, or when they need some job to be done. And so, like, right now we have 65 apps on board, and we are planning to have much more for any specific job. So if customers would like to add some of the applications and suggest some of the applications, they can do it, and we will be happy to get this developer on board.
All right. Is there a best way to contact you folks? Do you have a Twitter handle or an email address or something like that?
Yeah, my personal Twitter is Kosovan, Kosovan, and you can also follow us as Setapp on Twitter.
Makes sense. I guess that's the last question. That's the last question then. Where is Setapp? Where did that name come from? Like, why Setapp? And why MacPaw too? Like, why the names? Just out of curiosity.
Well, that's an interesting question. Like, MacPaw, it was like a long time ago, and we were searching for the right name for the business, and we choose something related to Mac operating systems. And back then, all of them were called by the cat names, like Leopard, Leopard, stuff like that. So we found a name like Paw and Mac that we wanted to use, but also we had around 100 different other names, and we were looking for a free domain name like that, because we couldn't afford anything that was paid. And like with Setapp, we had a bit different approach. We even hired a special agency that helped us to find the right name for Setapp. So we worked around probably months finding the right names for Setapp. And, like, we came up with this idea, and we had to buy out the domain name, and that was also another interesting story how we acquired it.
Oh, yeah. So basically, so MacPaw was your creation. Setapp was like a branding agency. They figured out that would be a good one for you.
Well, actually, it was not, because from all the names that they suggested, we didn't pick any of them.
All right.
Anyway, it was a very useful work for us, and we understood what we really need.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you for being here today. So it was good having a little coffee here and talking with you. Definitely tell all of our viewers about Setapp, and yeah, so it's good having you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm glad it was interesting for your viewers.
Yeah.
And see you on Setapp.
Okay, talk to you later.
Bye.
Let me go. Bye-bye. Nope, stop.